Hey, welcome back to the Silverback Show. This is part two of friends versus role models and the whole confusion around what is my role as a silverback in parenting. First and foremost, what I'd like to share with everybody is that you are a role model, and it doesn't matter if you speak one word to your child. If you are centered on your purpose as the silverback, if you are centered on your purpose as a man, if you are being the cooperative leader and the provider protector for your woman and giving in a great environment where that child can flourish, then you've done your job. There's a wide range, a wide spectrum from highly verbal human beings, primate males like myself, and very quiet, inward Clint Eastwood monosyllabic primate males, and neither one of them do a better job at parenting based on the amount of words that come out of their mouth. Think about that very carefully, because some of the people whom I admire and respect the most, and some of the people that you should admire and respect the most, are some of the people who speak the least, and when they do speak, it's with great deliberation. So you can be centered and quiet and focused on your purpose, on your work. You could be a mechanical engineer in your garage, totally absorbed on your newest invention for your Camaro. You could be a writer like myself, sitting absorbed in contemplation, waiting for the haiku moment and that aha moment to come. And you could be a knitter like my wife, totally absorbed, quietly sitting down at the seashore, knitting clothes for her children, knitting sweaters for her husband, coming up with beautiful art designs of trees in her throes, and becoming more of an artist. You don't have to be talking to your children, and you certainly don't have to be buddies with your children. And when I mean you don't have to be talking to your children, they'll find people that they can talk with. One of the greatest things about Nature Inside, Nature Outside is the beauty of watching your child come to fruition, and learning to crawl, learning to stand, learning to walk, learning to run, learning to speak without anything other than modeling that's going on and hardwiring going on that's allowing that child to do that. And it is very critical. Our world today is so overly socialized. You do not, I mean, if you happen to be living out in the boonies, which almost is non-existent today, but if you happen to be one of those super loner types out in the boonies, even then, I mean, the access to social media is everywhere, but predominantly kids are inundated with social stuff. You don't have to be their social buddy, and you don't have to be talking to them all the time for them to get everything they need from you. Now, having said that, does that mean that you shouldn't talk to your children? No, that's not at all what I'm saying. I'm saying you shouldn't worry about being their buddy and being their friend. They'll have other siblings, other cousins, other people, kids that they'll hang out with and play with and talk with, and develop their social skills. And a period of time all by themselves is something that is what adults are trying to find in their adult life, because they've never had that and they don't even know how to find it. So, you know, between 30 and 60, you know, our generation is going to shrink psychologists, gurus, teachers, mentors, healers, social organizations to try to find themselves, to try to find ourselves. So if you create an environment where that child can do that at an early age, and that does tie in with my choice to have my children at home so that they could be under my umbrella in terms of being a little bit more rigorous about know thyself and struggle inside yourself and find the answers yourself. And don't expect me to just hand them to you on a plate, and don't expect me to just say, sure, because you're suffering right now, I'm going to make it easy on you. So that's all part of the Silverback role model. I've seen some of the most powerful men carry their sons while they're infants, like the Silverback, and sit with their sons like the Silverback and be like Clint Eastwood, not saying too much. I've also had my own relationship with my children where I had a combination of leaving them alone and being totally available to them when they came to me. I had time periods where I needed to be so disciplined about my work, and my work was at home, and I was grateful that I was able to be at home. But I had to set my boundaries and make sure that they understood that this was, Papa's time for his work, and his work became critical. And this was also a father who spent an immense amount of time roughhousing, rough playing, going down to the seashore, almost on a daily basis, and playing soccer with my kids whenever I came home from work or whenever I had free time. The other thing too is, with our children is, like I said, nature inside, nature outside. Social media is everywhere. TV's everywhere. Our goal is not to put our kids in front of the TV. That is an escapist model, and that is a destructive model, and that is not how children can role model and find something powerful inside themselves. That's the way that they can escape into pure entertainment where they don't actually have to think about anything. But taking your children on hikes in nature and resting with your woman, or reading a good book while they play, and go explore and find themselves, that is the best thing that you can do for your children. Nature teaches an immense amount of invaluable lessons, and the most important thing that it does is it allows them to be alone by themselves with their own processing of things. And the more that they can get that in a world that is overly organized, overly channeled at creating social organizations for children that they have to obey and follow, even though they know that it's wrong, is not. And what I say by wrong, I mean that there's very few organizations anymore, unless it's serious competitive sports. There's very, very few organizations anymore, unless it's serious competitive sports, that allow a natural hierarchical pecking order to evolve, where the person who deserves to be at the top and play the most is the one who earned it. So we have to find ways in which, children can do that, and taking them out into the canyons and the countryside. There's nothing better than that. There's nothing greater than when I saw my kids fly fishing, being taught by old man Moonjar how to find their own bait and create their own and fly fish alone with the river, alone with their thoughts, or with their buddies down at the creek, just diving and exploring, and not having their parents there at every second of the day, or at the pond, finding the frogs and the snakes and the turtles. We're not their friends, we're their role models. Nature is the greatest role model to bring back and bring out the silverback fierceness and the solitude of coming to know thyself and find something, an inner strength inside yourself, where parents and people and adults are out of the way. And so organized everything in a child's life has someone else's organization in mind and not a natural hierarchical selection that nature provides. And on top of that, you have today in schools and you have today in sports organizations trying to reward everybody equally, and children know that that's a lie, and that is destroying boys from becoming stronger men and greater leaders, and that's destroying females in understanding that there are people that are smarter than them, faster than them, better than them, or that they need to work harder to reach something on their own. Okay, that's the second part. Comments, stories, feedback. Love to get personal stories so we can bring it into the discussion. I've had lots of men tell me that when they stopped trying to be their friend of their child, it changed overnight their relationship, and their child respected them a great deal more. I've had a lot of men come to me and said, when I stopped trying to be a mother to my child and I internalized the role of the silverback, my wife started respecting me more. And in one of my next videos, I'm going to talk about how men need to get out of the way of the mothers when the children are younger, and then women have to get out of the way of men when they need to rough and tumble. Okay, namaste, silverback out.